People are talking that Nnamdi Kanu might not escape from DSS office according to his October trial. Now, that's a heavy claim. But what is really going on? I've been following the developments closely, and here's what we have so far, the real story, without exaggeration. So first, who is Kanu, and why is this matter so tense? Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra, a group pressing for secession of the southeastern region of Nigeria. He was initially arrested in 2015, granted bail in 2017, but later escaped. He was rearrested in Kenya in 2021 and brought back to Nigeria under controversial circumstances. Many call it extraordinary rendition. The Supreme Court reinstated charges against him, and now he faces several counts: terrorism, incitement, treasonable felony, among others. Given that background, the trial has always had high public attention. Many believe Kanu faces political persecution, others believe he must be held accountable under law. So every hearing, every twist matters. Now, the gist of what's happening right now about that headline. Trial adjourned to October 16th. The Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned Kanu's trial. The next date is October 16, 2025. The reason? The Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, which the court ordered to submit a medical report on Kanu's health, has not finished its work. Health status and fit to stand trial question. The court wants to know whether Kanu is medically fit to face trial. Is his health condition good enough? Can he defend himself properly? The medical panel was supposed to examine him, check his organs, his state, and decide if he should even be moved from DSS custody to a better hospital or facility. The defense has argued that his health is deteriorating, issues with organs, lumps, low potassium, etc. The government, or rather the DSS side, insists that their facilities can manage his medical needs. The escape from DSS office part, what's the truth? Now, that part of the headline, might not escape from DSS office, sounds dramatic. But in recent fact-checking, there's no credible evidence that Kanu has escaped from DSS custody. In fact, claims were made earlier about an escape via tunnel, but agencies and fact-checkers have debunked them. So, as of now, he remains in DSS custody. There is no confirmed or credible report that he escaped or is about to escape. Court rejected no case submission. Before this adjournment, the court threw out Kanu's request to dismiss the case at no case submission, meaning the court believes the prosecution has presented enough to require Kanu to answer. So, he must open his defense, respond to the allegations. Tension over fairness, judicial impartiality, and rights. There is significant controversy over whether Kanu is being denied fair trial. His defense has raised issues: access to legal team, medical care, conditions of detention, independence of the court. Some allege that certain court orders or judicial recusals haven't been handled properly, or that the court is being influenced. So, putting all this together, the headline claiming he might not escape from DSS office according to his October trial captures partly a concern about whether he can physically get away, which is unconfirmed, and partly the certainty that in October, the court is pushing ahead with the trial unless something changes. Let me explain what viewers should watch out for moving forward. This is where the plot thickens, and why this case will remain headline news. On October 16th, the NMA report must be submitted. If they fail again, there could be more delays, or even fresh motions from either side. The contents of that medical report will be critical. If it says Kanu is unfit for trial or that his health cannot be managed in DSS facilities, the defense will push hard for medical transfer or dismissal on grounds of incapacity. The government side will fight to show that DSS detention is adequate and that Kanu must continue facing trial. There may be legal motions about judicial bias, jurisdiction, or constitutional rights. Public response, protests, media pressure, and human rights organizations will continue to pressure both the court and government. Related talk, and something to engage you all. Do you think someone in that position, being detained, health concerns, political overtones, can ever get a really fair trial in this system? Is the court system strong enough to resist influence? And would many Nigerians believe the outcome regardless of what happens? Let me hear your thoughts in the comments. And again, if you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss updates. I bring follow-ups as things unfold. So, we've already broken down what's happening with Nnamdi Kanu's October trial and the noise about him not escaping DSS custody. But let's go deeper now. Let's talk about what this really means for Nigeria's justice system, politics, and even the Southeast region. First, let's talk about the legal angle. From the look of things, this trial has dragged for years because of so many adjournments and technical arguments. Some people believe the government is intentionally delaying things, keeping Kanu in DSS custody without moving forward properly. Others think the defense is also playing for time, filing endless motions and objections to stop the trial from going fast. In reality, both sides are using every legal tool they can. And that's not unusual. That's how high-profile trials usually go, especially when politics is involved. The main question now is, will the October hearing finally make real progress, or will it just be another date where lawyers argue and the case moves nowhere again? Now, let's talk about the politics behind the court case. Even though this is supposed to be a purely legal issue, you and I know politics always enters. Nnamdi Kanu is not just an ordinary suspect, he represents an idea that many people in the Southeast strongly feel about: marginalization, unfair treatment, and the call for self-determination. So, when the government is prosecuting him, many in the Southeast see it as a political attack on their identity. On the other hand, the federal government insists that IPOB's actions have caused insecurity, violence, and division, and that nobody, no matter how influential, should be above the law. It's like two different stories running side by side, one about law and order, and the other about justice and freedom. Another important thing to mention here is the DSS and public trust. Many Nigerians have lost faith in security agencies because of how they handle sensitive cases. There have been repeated reports that Kanu has not been allowed enough access to his lawyers, that his family barely sees him, and that the DSS controls his communication heavily. His lawyers have even accused the DSS of not following court orders regarding his treatment. Now, the DSS says all these accusations are false. They maintain that Kanu is safe, well treated, and being kept under proper security. But the truth is, ordinary Nigerians don't know exactly what's going on inside those walls. That's why transparency is so important, especially when a case is this controversial. And let's not forget the health matter. This is another serious point. When you hear that the court had to call in the Nigerian Medical Association to check Kanu's health, that shows how serious it has become. It's no longer about a simple medical report from the DSS doctor. The court wants an independent body to verify. That's because there are fears that if anything happens to Kanu while in detention, it could cause unrest, especially in the Southeast. We've seen in the past how things like that can escalate fast. So, everyone, the court, the DSS, and even the presidency, is trying to be very careful. But the longer the case stays unresolved, the more tension builds. Let's move now to the reaction from people across Nigeria. In the Southeast, many IPOB supporters and sympathizers see Kanu as a hero, someone who stood up for their rights. But outside the Southeast, there are mixed opinions. Some people think IPOB's methods caused unnecessary violence, especially during the sit-at-home days that crippled businesses. Others, even outside the East, believe the government should handle this matter through dialogue, not just force. They say, you can't kill an idea with detention. Meaning, even if Kanu is in custody, the grievances he talks about are still there: unemployment, insecurity, and lack of infrastructure. And that's one reason the case keeps drawing attention. It's not just about one man, it's about what he represents. Now, if we look ahead, what are the possible outcomes? 1. The court could eventually find him guilty, and he might face a long sentence. But that outcome could trigger protest and tension in the East. 2. The court might eventually decide that the process used to bring him back to Nigeria, the extraordinary rendition, was illegal, which could even lead to dismissal or transfer of the case to another jurisdiction. 3. There could be a political resolution. Maybe after much negotiation, the government could decide to release him under certain conditions, possibly to calm the region and promote national peace. That last one, though, depends heavily on political will from both sides. And let's be real, there's also the international angle. Foreign human rights groups have been monitoring this case closely. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, And even some US and UK lawmakers have raised concerns about due process and freedom of expression in Nigeria. That international spotlight puts pressure on the government to show that it's handling the matter legally and fairly. Nigeria doesn't want to appear like a country that jails people for their political opinions. Before we wrap this part up, let's touch on something important: unity and communication. Nigeria right now is at a point where mistrust is very high. North versus South, Christians versus Muslims, old versus young, people are divided. Cases like Nnamdi Kanu's can either widen that division or become a chance to address long-standing issues. Instead of seeing it only as a fight between Kanu and the federal government, it should also be seen as a reminder that our justice system must be transparent, our leaders accountable, and our voices heard, without fear. Alright, my people, let me stop here for now, but the story no end. There's still more to unpack about how this trial could affect Nigeria's 2027 elections, the political mood in the southeast, and how the federal government might use this case to shape public opinion.